The major drivers of governmental change are there's an increased awareness and initiatives around CO2 reduction. Going further down, there's also an increased fuel efficiency standards that governments are sponsoring alternative technologies to promote increased fuel efficiency standards, and eventually we will reach a point where new technologies will need to be adopted in order to continue to meet the government regulations. Finally, perhaps the big one on the government side is there's increased government subsidies that are driving down the upfront acquisition cost of electric vehicles and making them cost competitive in the short run. On the right-hand side of the chart, the consumer aspects are a little more on the emotional side. I think there is a general increasing trend globally around increased environmental concern and an effort to do environmental stewardship that's driving changes to consumer behavior. There's an increased urbanization, which resorts to last mile challenges. How do you drive from your vehicle to, say, a mass transportation parking lot, or sorry, your house to a mass transportation parking lot, and how do you drive from that mass transportation parking lot to your office? These are all ideally suited for use cases around electric vehicle driving. Finally, there is an increased consumer interest in advanced technology. I think we're becoming increasingly aware and interested in kind of the digitization of electric vehicles. We're no longer put off by ones and zeros controlling our vehicle as opposed to some sort of mechanical system, where 20 years ago when some of the last round of electric vehicles came out, it wasn't quite that way. But really what it all boils down to is this time around we have drastically improved technology and a corresponding decrease in costs. Because at the end of the day, if electric vehicles are going to scale the way that a lot of us are predicting, we need to bring down the purchase cost of the electric vehicle. Not just the ongoing life cycle cost of the electric vehicle, but the upfront purchase cost. And that is what we're seeing as a decrease in battery pack, battery technology, as well as the power electronics inside the vehicle. Interoperability, and which I've kind of alluded to earlier, is how do you enable open access, especially in the public domain, to any charge post anywhere for electric vehicle use. So you're not precluded from using charge posts based on payment type or subscription service. Second is the metering and settlement. There'll be a host of new challenges for the utility and or the charge operator who's operating the charge posts around the financial billing or the metering, billing, and settlement of financial transactions. Third, data security. Obviously there's going to be a tremendous flow of personal data and financial data. We need to put the appropriate safeguards around data security and IT systems in order to protect and manage that data. Last, I think we can probably devote a whole workshop to this, but basically the effective management of electric vehicle charging. How do you maintain the demand of the electric vehicle in accordance with grid needs? Electric vehicles are, without a doubt, going to reinforce the need for revised and hardened IT systems. Essentially, if you think about a charge post, it is, in its core, a distributed communication device with access to the electrical grid. Not only that, it's going to send and receive financial information and personal information. This is not, the amount of information that can potentially flow through here is big. So what you need secure end-to-end communications, and you need a hardened IT environment in order to maintain that data. Basically, everything that credit card companies and entities that manage secure personal data now needs to be applied to electric vehicle. And a lot of the small companies that are out there providing the charge infrastructure are suspect in that. So that is an area that is going to need to be addressed. Second of all, strict password management and authorization around access to the data, and as well as access to charge the vehicle. There needs to be appropriate procedures and policies in place in order to manage who has access to the charge post, as well as who has access to the back-end data. And lastly, perhaps most challenging, is because electric vehicles travel across city, municipal, and potentially country boundaries, they will likely be susceptible to different information management rules and regulations. So what you can what essentially you can record on an electric vehicle transaction in one charge event, if you cross a state or local boundary, may not be relevant to another. So you need to have the procedures, processes, and intelligence in place in order to manage that data effectively and silo that in order to be in strict accordance with local guidelines around personal information.